Hello. Hi. So as you can see from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about King Cailan from Dragon Age Origins. Why do I talk about him? Well, because I recently replayed Dragon Age Origins again, and well, I always felt that it was kind of unfair that he was treated as if he was an idiot. And so, as one would do, I went online, forums like Reddit, to just try and see what people's take on Cailan was. And unsurprisingly, a lot of people actually thought he was an idiot. And a lot of them formed that opinion based off of Honora and Logain. Let us think in Honora and Logain. Two of the most hypocritical, most backstabbing, self-serving son of a guns out there. And that got me thinking, is that fair? Were they actually right about Caleb? Was he actually as stupid and as inept and as incompetent as he's made out to be? Well, let's look at all the facts. From Honora, you find out that Cailan wasn't that interested in politics. He was more interested in the social, aspects of it. He was more interested in being a great general, a great leader, rather than being a great politician. And she claimed she was the quote unquote brains behind the throne. Well, was that actually true? Let's look at her actions then. She allowed her father to take her throne, take her power. She sided with her father, who killed her husband, as Tegan rightfully pointed out. She allowed her father to start a civil war. She allowed her father to cripple the military might of Ferelden. She trusted our Rendon Howe, who betrayed the Kuslans. She trusted her father, who invited slavers into Ferelden and allowed him to basically imprison her, reign supreme. Let's be honest here, just from what we see of her, she's already not, writing a very good case for herself, let alone the fact that we see the moment she gets anything, okay, she manipulates to her advantage. And the moment even a little bit is out of favor and she is in, minor danger of even coming close to losing her powers, she immediately backstabs and betrays everyone there. She doesn't care. She only cares about herself. And I'm supposed to believe that she's the brains, quote unquote, behind the Ferelden throne. Ignoring also the fact that Eamon and Logain are usual participants in the Hall of Power and are very popular politicians. So. And now we look at Logain. Let's see what he does. He sacrifices his king and the massive army they built and let this undead horde of monsters march on over the southern part of his beloved kingdom, decimating everything in sight, instigated civil wars, allowed blood mages to basically take over the circle of magi, poisoned his greatest political enemy, and nearly destroyed an important pivotal part of Ferelden, which could be used to summon forces and bolster the defense. He also refuses additional aids because they were from a country that used to subjugate them, but now has a completely different political system, and they're mostly getting help from a different, more neutral political force. And he refuses that. Instead, he trusts a backstabbing bastard who, the moment he got backstab a friend who he was friends with for many decades, he trusts that guy who has a history and comes from family who has a history of betrayal, backstabbing, and just downright evil. He trusts that man over his own son-in-law, the son of his best friend, who, might I remind you, if you take in stuff like the Calling and Stolen Throne, you know that he also backstabbed and betrayed his friend for his own self-interest. So I'm supposed to believe that these two, who are known to lie, backstab, cheat, and steal, are somehow believable, credible evidence as to Cailan's incompetence. Or our Rendon Howe, who is known for backstabbing and politically manipulating and sabotaging everything he touched. And I'm supposed to believe him as well. Right. Or how about, okay, I'm supposed to believe Logain's God, who says, well, he should just listen to Tien Logain. So ignore every other one of his other advisors? What? Here's the thing, okay, we saw even that very few minutes Cailan was on screen, if you actually pay attention to what he was saying, he actually advocated for fighting a defensive battle to buy enough time for reinforcements to come. He even advocated for bringing additional fighting forces from a neighboring country who were very fresh and who were more than willing and able to come and aid them. But Logain said no, you either withdraw or you use my tactics. Well, he used Logain's tactics. Logain also dismissed Duncan and his input, even though Duncan is from an order well known from dealing with this monstrous zombie horde, which is growing bigger and bigger by the day. And then, just as his troops were right about to attack, he pulled them all away and left everybody else to die. And I'm supposed to believe Logain is smart? Logain was arrogant, okay? And just like somebody like, say, the Roman Empire when they were fighting against the Carthaginians, or was it the Carthaginians? Either one, the one with Hannibal. They believed themselves supreme overlords of the Mediterranean. What happened? They got their ass absolutely whooped. And I say Logain was basically the same. He believed himself invincible and got his ass whooped. That's a very human reaction, so I'm not going to question the fact that he was doing the stupidest things possible because he doesn't have the power of hindsight. But some of the stuff he was doing, you don't even need hindsight to know it was stupid. Letting your king die and his entire force, made up of tens of thousands of soldiers, the bulk of what you could get, and then killing off your enemy and destroying his territory and the amount of troops he's able to give you and starting up a civil war is bad for your country. You don't need to have power of hindsight to know that was a bad thing, and he did it anyway, and I'm supposed to believe this guy is somehow a genius? And then let's move on to the political scene of the whole thing. Honora says again that she was the brain of the operations. Well, Cailan managed to maneuver and agreed upon a marriage with Orlais, with Celine, the Empress of Orlais, and was ready to oust Honora. I'm sorry, that's actually a great play on his part. That's the political maneuvering of a man who knows what the fuck he's doing. Further proof that he's not an idiot or that he's incompetent. A bit naive, a bit starstruck by the mythical hero organization, but most people would be as well, so I don't see the problem with that. I mean, sure, you could say him wanting to fight on the front line was a bad thing, but let's be honest here. Let's take a step back, okay, and see what happens if Cailan had listened to Logain and stayed on the back line. Well, what would have happened? Logain still would have abandoned the soldiers and Cailan, still left them to die. And when he does that, do you think he's gonna let Cailan live and potentially go back to Denerim, report on his treachery, and summon for everybody to kill him? No, of course not. He would have either imprisoned or killed Cailan. That is definitely 100% what he would have done. And then where would Cailan be? Same thing as when he was dead. Absolutely powerless to stop Logain. So that's not his fault. And if Logain had actually done his job, they could have routed the Darkspawn. Now, they wouldn't have had to win. They just had to rout the Darkspawn for another day or two and buy enough time for more reinforcements to come. And if Logain had not sabotaged the whole thing, there was a good potential that they could have survived long enough to get more troops to come in. And let's see what happens if the Wardens, everybody had died. Well, Ferelden would have devolved into a civil war, and by the time, if Logain could ever clean it up, Ferelden would be so decimated, the Blight would so easily just roll over them and completely destroy Ferelden. And so Logain basically doomed the entire country. Cailan wasn't the one who did it. It was Logain. And Honora absolutely had no idea what the fuck everything was going on. She just blindly went along with every stupidity her father made. That goes to show you that she really doesn't care for Ferelden. I'm pretty sure she only listened to her father because her father was the well-respected general of Ferelden, the hero of Ferelden, Logan McTier, or McTen, or whatever the fuck his name was, who saved and liberated Ferelden, and she needed his reputation and his prestige to protect her and keep her on the throne, because she knows when Cailan died, she's basically opened herself up for the throne to be re-seized by somebody else, somebody with more political power than her. So that's why she went along with everything her father did, and only when it started to impact her did she start to question her father, and then that was when her father imprisoned her. So no, she wasn't thinking of the good of Ferelden, neither was her father. Her father was more understandable motives. He's just a bigot who cannot see past his past prejudice and nearly destroyed his kingdom. And that's a very human and believable thing. He let it get to his head that he was invincible just because he routed Orlais, even though the threat he was going up against now was the same one that a couple of hundreds to nearly 1,000 years ago nearly destroyed the entire world. Humans are short-lived, so for them, they forgot about it, but the dwarves who constantly face a never-ending blight knows of the threat of the Darkspawn, and they fear it, rightfully so, but the people on the surface surface only see it every couple of 100 years. So for them, out of sight, out of mind. And that's another reason why you can see the difference between how the dwarves treat, say, somebody like the Grey Warden and how the average everyday people treat the Grey Wardens. And then you have this whole situation, and then you have Return to Ostagar. Then you have basically, let's be honest here, Anora's own actions. Fact of the matter is, she's really not the brains of the whole throne. She was only allowed leeway and ability to do whatever she did because Cailan wasn't interested enough in the political side of the ruling thing. And so most probably, Eamon and Loghain was providing advice and the likes to Anora and guiding her on what to do. And then she took credit for that because, again, she wants to stay on the throne. So she's not a good person, neither was she that great of a leader, really, if you think about it. Her ideas, her way of doing things just caused more tension and more bloodshed. Cailan wasn't that great of a king as well, but he was not incompetent, nor was he that stupid. He was still popular. He didn't really cause any big problems. He didn't abandon his throne. He was still there, still well liked, still did a lot of good things, or rather a lot of neutral things. And at the end of the day, I wouldn't call him incompetent. I mean, just like his god said, if Cailan the Big Cheese was to show his actual fear and worries and anxiety, would not the common soldier themselves panic? Of course they would answer. Morale is a thing as well. And it's not like he wasn't preparing, he was leaving a lot of stuff for just in case because he knew it was a desperate struggle. That's why he suggested for buying time for more reinforcement, calling in as many and as much help as they humanly possibly can to try and defend Ferelden. Loghain was the one that overruled him on that and left him to die. And so at the end of the day, you cannot say Cailan was incompetent or stupid. A bit naive, a bit airheaded, yes. But that does not make him stupid, incompetent, or just a bad king. Neither does Anora or Loghain saying that or how bring any sort of credibility because their actions were in and of themselves fucking stupid, and three of them are all lying, backstabbing bitches who only care about themselves and will backstab any and everybody at the drop of a dime so long as it gains them some personal benefits. And so I'll leave you all on that, and I'd like to thank you for listening to my ramblings so far. I hope to be able to see you in my next video. Thank you and bye-bye.